no time for myself, for my own needs, for my own health. And I felt more and more frustrated, stressed, and exasperated. Something had to give. For me, it was my back. One day, I was sitting down on my office chair and I felt a sharp pain in my back. Oh, I said to myself, well, I am one of the many having back pain, and I worked away. That evening, I could hardly tie my shoelaces. But I made it home and to bed. Next morning, I couldn't get up. My ex-husband called his ambulance friends, and they carried me down a flight of steps to a hospital where over the next 4 weeks, I slowly learned to walk again. The experience of changing roles from being a doctor to being an inpatient and being completely helpless and bedridden. Yes, and I mean to pee and poop it laying down, was deeply humbling, embarrassing, and devastating. But I learned a lot. Through all that, I kept a good spirit, and after I slowly entered a rehab program, sold half of my practice to a partner, I started to work more and more. And then, boom, a second disc slipped. Back in bed I was. This time, I gave up. I felt completely stuck in the darkest place of my life. I didn't know what to do. But as a child, I learned to cope by eating. And believe me, German cake is delicious. And I ate a lot of it. Shortly after that, my ex-husband, who had his own challenges, decided to commit suicide. And I was left sick, depressed, with 2 teenage boys and immigration papers to Canada. You see, 3 years earlier, we had started the immigration process to spare our sons to have to serve in the then compulsory German army. Life takes strange turns sometimes. And so I went to Halifax. It turned out to be a decision and a change for good, although at first it seemed to make things worse. Alone, no family except for 2 rather spoiled, unsupportive teens. I felt more and more depressed. That's when I one day went in my van and went down that highway aiming for the bridge post. What stopped me? It was a small voice in my belly that said, "Christine, you don't really want to die. You want help." And so, with tears streaming down my face and feeling like a failure because I couldn't even kill myself, I drove myself to the emergency room of the QE2. I was very fortunate that the resident that I saw, well, he saw me more than I him, realized how bad I was and admitted me to the Abbey Lane, which is a mental hospital, where I spent the next 4 weeks, which is a long time in the Nova Scotia healthcare system, listening to John Denver music, waiting for the medication to kick in, because that's basically what they do. So I was now not only physically sick and inpatient in a regular hospital, but even the lowest you can get, an inpatient in a mental hospital. But it was good, because after 4 weeks, they transitioned me to the day hospital, a 6 weeks program, where I learned the word assertiveness. I had no idea that existed. In German, you are either submissive, which I learned to be, or aggressive, which I never wanted to be. That was so bad. And after 6 weeks in the day hospital, I was discharged to continue the struggle on my own. And the struggle it was. I was still in the dark part of the tunnel. To understand the tunnel metaphor, you need to know that in the European Alps, there are mile-long tunnels. And when you drive into one of those tunnels, you can't see the light at the end. It will blind you. So it's completely dark. And you drive for a long time in the dark. And then a sudden turn, and the bright light of the southern sun brightens your spirit. We drove those tunnels many times as kids on the way from Germany to the Mediterranean Ocean to play in the sand. Life has such sudden turns too. Little did I know that then. And I continued to struggle. What turned my life around and brought the change? The change was a decision for change. I decided not to put up with the downward spiral where I was in, of being a victim, of being mentally ill, back and forth in mental hospital, labeled with schizoaffective disorder, depressive type, which is pretty bad. Some people use it as an excuse to commit crimes. I think I didn't. I was... You have to ask my husband. So I thought about, what can I do here in Canada? I thought of going back to Germany, but I had met, shortly after I came to Canada, my now husband. He's from Halifax. And he's a sweetheart, my love of my life, and he's not at all suited for German life. So I decided to search for options to do here. When I came to Canada, I took the exams to be a licensed physician, but I couldn't do the residency because there's no part-time residencies. And now it was too late. What could I do? I tried, studied business administration, became an expert tax preparer. Very interesting, but it's not my passion. My passion is and always has been helping others, not money. So I became a health coach, and I thought that was it. Very naive, I learned that's not the case. But I reconnected with my purpose, which was and always is to help others with their struggle. And we all are on a learning and growing path. And I honor my own struggles as I honor yours. And I'm very humbled to hear of some of your struggles today. And I want to close my speech with a quote that I always say in my radio show and podcast. If you're stuck in a dark place, don't give up. there's a light at the end of the tunnel for you too. Thank you.